Yeah, okay? Right, okay. So are you all sitting comfortably? Well, you need to stand up, so let's stand up, everybody, please. Okay, so this is a session for Collective College on basic directing. And it's for anybody who suddenly finds themselves, what you doing, Mike?
This is
Hello,
why I don't
Mike.
stand. This is why I don't stand up.
Okay. Um, and it's for anybody who finds themselves in a position of being in front of a group of people, either having to keep them in together in time together or whatever. So it's about the kind of things that we're looking for. It's all about cues, and they're usually about non-verbal cues. That the person at the front, who is the director, obviously, or the person who's taking the section or the session, is indicating to the people the other way. So this is my right hand. All of you, show me your right hand, please. Okay, so you've all got it that way. Okay, Debbie, you're the same as me. Everybody with the left hand the other side. Okay. Debbie, are you sure that's your left hand? Okay, right, fine. Okay, right. Right, okay. So we're going to be doing this, okay? We're going to be using hands and we're going to be using our bodies. But before we do that, we're going to have to do a warm up because one of the things that it's a whole body engaged thing directing, all right the way from the top to the bottom. And I'm not going to do anything about alignment other than to say that you do need to be able to stand with your feet, probably one foot slightly in front of the other, equal pressure, equal weight on both feet. Okay, but before we do all of that, I still want you to be in the right position. So I just want you to take sort of, this is where most of our movement is going to come from, and so we kind of need to loosen up our upper body, this bit here. So generally, things like Pilates activities will be okay. So if you just put your hands on your hips and just generally just slowly move that, because you do need to have your shoulders so that they're nice and able to cope with the weight, which you find that you actually hold your weight up a lot. Okay, I want you to bend your arms forward and then bend them back and bend them forward and bend them back. Okay. What else have I written down here? Put your arm across the body, and I just want you to just put, it's like you've got it in yoga or in Pilates, a loosening exercise. You'll feel the tension. Don't put it on your elbow. Don't put it on your wrist here, and just push it across your body. You'll feel a stretch here. Okay, and the other one. And you have to do it with both arms because we do use both arms. The other thing you can do, put it down, is to actually go and do the same thing, but lean up against the wall. So you're pressing up against the wall, but we haven't got any walls handy, so I'm not going to ask you to do that. So your shoulder blades need to be in the position of just rotating back, and as Julie says, putting them, feel as if they're in the back pockets. So that's nice and relaxed. Okay. Anything else? Sometimes if you find you're getting a bit stiff and you just need to relax, just collapse a little bit and then come back up again. And that just loosens the hips and everything like that, because as you're in this position, it is very, very easy to get quite tense. All right, so the whole body is engaged. Right, feet, I've talked to you a little bit about your feet. Okay, evenly distributed, because we will go forward, we will go backwards, we will go sideways, we'll do all sorts of things. So we do need to be firm with our position, but we need to be able to also be very flexible in the way that we move. Okay, we also need to show this open body position. If you stand like this, they will sing in that way. What you're trying to do is to give them a model to look at. So it is a shoulders back, it is a sort of a delivery this way, so that the sound that they will produce hopefully is more supportive than if they're standing a bit like this. So rotating the shoulders down is a good thing to do. Okay, right, so what have I got down? So full frontal, what I call a full frontal delivery, with one weight, one foot further forward than the other. That's and you can see them. There could be just people here or people here or here. Depends how many people you've got in front of you. You should be able to scan them all. It's really important. Being that rotation, you see where the neck comes in, where you've got to be able to rotate your head quite easily and freely. So the head has to be in a well-balanced position. It allows your head to move very, very smoothly. That's really important. Shoulders down. Okay, neck's relaxed with no tension whatsoever. The minute you do this, they will sing. They will sing how you are looking. They actually will tend to do that. Sometimes I would say to a chorus, "Am I frowning?" And they'll say yes, and it's because I can see them all frowning, and they tend to mirror what they see. Okay, so you kind of need to, even if you may not be feeling this, you've got to make sure that you're actually showing this kind of delivery to them all the time. You can smile. You can smile. Yes. Okay. Right. So here we go. So the next thing is the other thing that we need to be aware of is your neck has to be nice and loose, but make sure that you don't lead with your chin. Because they'll sing like that, and a lot of our singers do sing like that with that there. The other thing is, if you're actually trying to, and this will applies to people who are wearing glasses. Many people who are wearing glasses, because there's a variation in the lens, will tilt their head so they can see the singers a bit better. So the more you can do it without, and I can't do this because you've all gone really blurred. But the more you can do it without. If I had a group of people here, I wouldn't have my glasses on at all. Okay. Yes, all right, Debbie. But that's how it feels. You need to sort of have that position. All right. So now we're going to get to our arms. So bring your arms, if you can, and I'll probably try and lower my camera a little bit. Bring your arms to your waist and tuck your arms into your waist. Okay. And then make sure that your hands are this way. Right? I mean, make sure that I've got this all down here. So I want you to be like this. Now, it's very restricted if you keep your elbows into your waist. So just move your elbows away a little bit. So just feel that freedom there. All right? And I want you to take your hand, both hands at the same time, and imagine that you're stroking the head of a little baby. So they're very light, it needs to be curved. Can you see that curve? Now look at yourself in the mirror, in the Zoom, and you can see whether you've got them curved or not. Take them further away from your body. Okay? Bring them into your body. Take them further away. In, out, in. And let's just stroke it very gently. Okay, now some of you, and I don't think I can see any of you doing this, but sometimes when people are doing this, they're actually doing it with their wrist like that, and the wrist is quite raised. The idea is to get the even weight going through your wrist, through your arm, through your wrist to your hands. Okay, and then your hands need to be tilted like this. If you're tilting like this, if I do this to you, what can you see? Tell me what you can see. What does that mean? Yes, exactly. And what does that gesture mean?
Stop.
Stop, exactly. So this is why this is the position. Now, if we're singing a ballad or something like that, we tend to have our fingers spread and it softens the sound. I have no idea why it happens, but that's what happens. If you have your fingers like that, which are stronger, the sound is probably a little bit louder, a little bit stronger, maybe more strident. You might be herky-jerky in the way you're actually doing things. So go for practicing the soft gestures first of all. So put your hands here like this. Keep your hands away from your elbows, away from your waist. Just move them out a little bit, and just I want you to go and lift it up and tap it 8 times. Okay. Okay, so this point that you're touching here, this point here, when you see me do this, this is called the ictus, all right, which is the point of contact with the beat. So that would be 1, 2, 3. And if you're a singer, if you see this, now look at what I do. If you do, there's all sorts of preliminary gestures before you actually get to where you want to get them to be, because that's where you want them to sing. You want them to go down, down. So really smooth, no tilt, just down. And it's coming from the arm. Turn to the side so you can see it. Now look at your hands as you're doing it. A gentle tap, a really gentle tap. Do it and pull your arm right up this time. Do it slowly and back down. And again. Good. And turn around and do it with the other hand. So we'll go through the same process. We'll start here. It's important because we need to make sure that both hands can do this. Good. Well done. It's really quiet here in this group. Okay, now pull it higher. Now do both hands together. And 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just concentrating on the gesture. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Okay, hands down. Give your arms a shake because they probably begin to just feel a bit heavy after a while. Yeah, all of this sort of stuff is good. Are we all okay so far? Anybody got any questions or all okay? Everyone's okay? Right, okay. So this is just sort of bouncing a ball very, very gently, okay? Now I want you to do it, you've done it separately, and we've done it with both hands together. I want you to do this one 4 times, and then I want you to take over with the other arm, and then take over. So you're going to do it alternate arms, and I shall count it for you, and I'll count 4. Off we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4. Change. Put your hands here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Well done. Good. Okay. Make sure that this is not too fast. It depends really. What have you got in your head? Have you got a slower song or what I want to do is to make sure that the gesture is controlled. So you're going from here to the ictus and back again, just touching it. It's like touching a hot plate, like I'm touching my laptop here. It's like touching a hot plate and it's burning your hands and you're moving it away, okay? But don't do too quickly. It needs to be really slowly because the slower you are, the more control you have. Okay, let's try it once again. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4. Change. 1, 2. Drop your hand. 3, 4. Change. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. Well done. That's good. Okay, so I want you to do the same thing, but I want you to go 1, 2. So I'm doing it outwards this time. This is up and down. So we're going to do it outwards, all right? Outwards. It's all like outwards and diagonal at the same time. So let's go. 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Other hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if I'm being honest, I'm finding it harder with my left hand. How many of you are finding it harder with your left hand than you are with your right? Yeah. Okay, so it's this. And that obviously shows to me that I don't use my left hand as much to do this kind of direction as I do that. But it's a gesture that we use. What do you see when you see this? You tell me what messages you get when you look at me doing that. What is the message?
Flowing, expanding.
Okay, flowing and expanding. Anything else?
Holding the notes on?
Yes, exactly. And that's why I'm doing it from side to side, because if you do this, as a singer, you'll see it on Zoom because I'm coming close to the camera, but the singers won't see it. All they see is it coming towards them, but they don't actually see that it's flowing. So they have to have it within their vision field, and it needs to be able to go this way. That's why we do a lot of outward movement. There is a box which is kind of around here, like this bit here. It's like my Zoom screen, actually, just probably a bit bigger than my Zoom screen as I look at it. If I go out here, I'm losing body strength. I know my shoulder's weaker. Take it to where you feel that you're losing your strength to the extreme. It's not natural, so come back in a bit, okay? So just go up to there and then back again, and up again and back again. So this is flowing up again and back again, up again and back again. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, so we've got lots of different things that you can do. We've got the diagonal going this way. We've got the ictus that we're using, and we've got the strength box, which is really important. The ictus is never any lower than your physical waist position. Never. If you go any lower than that, they've lost the point of contact with the sound that they're singing. So we're kind of directing the sound box. So the next thing to do is think about the kind of gestures that we have. We have a preparation, we have the onset, and we have a release. All of those are different cues. So the preparation is the breath inhalation. So it will go 1, because that's a slow, you see how slow I excuse me, how slowly I lifted my arm, and that's when you hold them. You don't say, right, everybody pitch, go. You say, right, pitch, and you have to have a moment of absolute stillness and silence before you start. Okay. And this is the rate of their inhalation. Always. So if it's a fast one, it's going to be da. So just practice a fast inhalation. So you've got them ready. Whatever song is, it could be 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba da 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 da. So Happy Christmas War is over. That's essentially 2-beat thing. So it's 1, 2, 4. Ha da 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 da. Okay, so make it quite clear. Do it once again. Just the one hand. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, now there are some rules that I've not shared with you, and I should do. This prep beat always is the last beat before the singer sings. Now it could be on beat 3 if it's 4, if it could be on beat 2 if they're singing on 3, or it could be on beat 4. So if you think about I've got down, what have I written down? There'll be bluebirds. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, there'll be blue. But that's not a good one. So let's think of another one. What other songs are we just doing now? 1, 2, there.
I'm still standing.
I'm still standing. What's the beginning of that? I bet you none of it. No, I can't remember.
Da, 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 da. I don't know what the words are.
Here's an 8-beat start.
Yes, and we've got a click, haven't we? It's 1.
Yeah.
But why don't you build me up? Buttercup baby, let's go down. So it's and if you were directing it, you couldn't go. Well, you could go a 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4. But we've got the pitch, and it goes 2, 3, 4, dum dum. So the basses come in. But if you've got them in front of you, you've got to go dum, haven't you?
Yeah.
There wouldn't know on earth to come in if you didn't. So it's dum. Okay. So it's quite a fast one. Dum. Again, dum. Okay, how many of us know the story of the rose? Heart of my heart, I love you.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Da da da. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's okay. So now that's going to be heart of my heart. Okay. So that again, the last beat will always come from the outside of the body. Now the rules are, for a 4-beat, you start the prep off and you go down to 1. Okay. You go across the body for 2, out for 3, and up for 4. So it's down, across, up. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the pattern. It's so if you had a wall behind you with a piece of paper on it and a felt tip pen, you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'd see the actual shape of it on there. So you could do it that way. Okay. And then if you're directing a piece of music or singing a song in a piece of music that's in 4 beats, you're going to go and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now, yeah, let's just do 4 bars of 4, 4, and I'll count it for you. Ready? 1, 2, 3, prep. I want you to see, okay, good. Everybody should have their hand out here, ready to go. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make it smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4. Even smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Okay. Well done. So that's if it's 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 beats. It's 1, 2, because that's the second to last beat. 3. So there's the last beat coming up here. So it's like a triangle. It's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, out, up, down, out, up, down, out, up, down, out, up. Well done. Good, good, good. Now if it's 2, it's just 1, and then you take it 2. 1, bounce over, 2. 1, bounce over, 2. 1, bounce over, 2. Do you see there's a little curve in the middle to get you to the end beat there? All right. So what we're going to do is you're going to do 4 bars of 4 beats. Then you're going to go to 4 bars of 3 beats. Okay. And then 4 bars of 2 beats, and then back to 4 bars of 4 beats. Ready? Off we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Not sure how many we've done now, but I think we've done it. I think that's not bad at all. Well done. I don't with your other hand. I assume you're all using your right hand there. Were you all using your right hand? No. Who was losing their left hand? Okay. Now, your singers will be, I don't know why it is, but they will expect you to use your right hand. So you're going to have to develop that pattern with your right hand as well as your left. Okay. So that's just one of the conventions, all right. And I don't know why it is. That's how people see things. They'll see anything they won't see this way. And actually, if you do this, that doesn't help either, because you just and very often we see that, and this doesn't help either, so because we're just flapping. So you need to be able to. So I want you to, Tanya and Nicola, do it with your other hand this time. We're going to do the same thing, and everybody else use your left hand, okay? And to make it even harder, I want you to put your dominant hand behind your back, okay? And it's going to be, so we're going to start off as if it's quite a loud beginning in this 4, and then it's going to get quieter and quieter and quieter. So the size of the beat will go smaller and smaller as well. Okay, and we'll do it at the same speed at the moment, and then we can do it a bit faster later on. Ready? So it's off we go, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's interesting, isn't it? And we did one of those songs where we had where it was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, ya pa 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 pa. One of the songs that we've done very recently with Simon. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, ya ta 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 ta. 1, 2. Can you remember?
What can I say?
I think it was What Can I Say? Yes, and he the second chorus, that's where he was doing it. So we need to be able to change these beats. So if you've got a group there and you're directing them, what kind of ya da 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 yum bum bum ba da 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 yum bum bum ba da 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 da. So apart from anything else, you need to know how many beats there are in each one of those sections, whether it's predominantly 4 or 3 or 2. You need to find that out before you actually start that, okay? So that's talking about the actual patterns. Let's put both hands out together now, all right? Now, some of you are tucking your hands in under your boobs, okay? You need to not tuck them in, just keep them away from there, all right? And one of the things, just get used to moving your hands forward and then back. And again, slowly, 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 and back. Okay, and again, one hand, and back. Feel as if you've got a string tied here and it's pulling for you. And back. Take over with the other one. And back. Okay, and when you see people do this, what does that sign mean?
Become quieter, pull it in.
Become quieter, pull it in, okay? And particularly, again, this is one of the non-verbal cues. You're directing around your heart level, and that means that it's more intimate and it needs to be quieter. So you just bring it in like that and just do all of those things, all right? There are other things that we have to consider as well as our hand gestures. And hand gestures are really important because I think barbershop is probably the only genre of music that I can think of where we're actually trying to make our singers totally independent as performers and yet have a director, even if the director is a performance director. If it's a choral piece of music, they will always have a person waving their arms, generally. So we need to be able to do different things with our hands. If you've got a group of people in front of you, these things are really important. And I'm not talking about my spectacles, I'm talking about my eyes. Eye contact with people is really important. So you will find, and it's to do with how secure you feel, or indeed how you actually present yourself without being aware of it. But sometimes people talk a lot to one side, or people talk a lot to another side. And yet you've got other people on the edges here and they're never included, okay? So you have to develop the art of having eye contact and meaningful, even if it's only, yes, I can see you, yes, I can see, are you okay over there? Yeah, that's fine. Eye contact is really important in the chorus director's brief, all right? It's important because you're engaging in a two-way process with the singers, but you're also the conduit between them and the audience where the music comes out. So that eye contact is really, really important, right? And the other thing that we see a lot of, and there's a big discussion about this, is mouthing the words. Now, what do we feel about mouthing the words? How do you feel about it?
Strictly speaking, it's not necessary. I find it a distraction. But
Okay. Why is that, Mike?
well, I guess because I know it, and watching him do it when I should be, or her, when I should be watching their hands, I just find it gets in the way. And also, they'll be singing different parts at different times that aren't necessarily mine.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Julia, you're going to say something? Take yourselves off mute, Pete.
We have Debbie knows in choir, when we sing Go Your Own Way, it's slightly different words in the two halves of the song, and sometimes just being given that word can be helpful, I think, because it might be that everybody knows the song well, but they get the two, especially when you've got two parts. And I found this when we did You Will Be Found. There was certain parts of the song that just changed very slightly, and I had like the word stuck on my laptop, and I think sometimes if it's just the odd word, I think as Mike said, it can be distracting if it's all the time, but if it's the odd cue just to help you remember whereabouts you are in the song, it could be quite helpful.
Anybody else got any points of view? Gail?
Well, I'm a primary school teacher, so I've done loads of primary choirs, and I felt it's been essential to do the words because it keeps the kids with me, and they're looking at me and they're feeling the song and the emotion. But that's, they are a lot younger, so we're not talking barbershop. So that's my own experience.
Yeah. And do you sing in a chorus where you have a performance director or a one that stands in front of you?
Oh, yes. Yeah. And he very rarely does the words, but sometimes when it's really important, he will.
Yes,
So
exactly.
it's like, this is a big, really important bit. Go for it.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else got any perspectives or feelings about it?
I was going to say the same as Julia, that it's sometimes helpful if you've got a vocal plan that they're going to forget if you don't remind them of the word it starts on.
Excellent. Karen?
In my experience, I've done both. I've mouthed the words, I've not mouthed the words. And I think if you mouth the words and your hands are doing something different, it confuses the singers. By the same token, if you mouth the words and you get them wrong, which has happened, singing two verses exactly the same, it confuses the singers and the audience. So I think, and you well, yeah, I didn't do it actually. But it was, it's an interesting thing, and I think maybe the odd cue is okay, but all the time, I think musical directors tend to think it's more helpful because they know the words and therefore the chorus needs them to mouth them, but I think we should let them run with them.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of useful to get them to take responsibility for what is essentially their job, which is to do the singing and to just do the cues. But I've heard the converse side of the argument put forward that but I don't feel involved in the music if I'm not mouthing the words. And I think that's an interesting thing as well, that people for their own security as a director, for them to be emotionally involved with the words, they're actually mouthing them as they're going along. But when you've got different parts happening at different times, that's a bit of a nuisance. That's a bit of a challenge, I think. What about you, Susan?
In my experience as a singer, I've been in a chorus where the director tends to mouth the words, and now I'm in a chorus where he doesn't mouth the words. And I've noticed that I'm more of a slacker when I have a director that is mouthing the words. It's unconscious, but I probably haven't learned the music as well as I could have because I know the director's going to mouth the words. So
yeah.
You're hoping he doesn't watch this.
No, my director now doesn't mouth the words.
Yes, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, taking your point, Julia, about the words needing an extra cue, maybe the role of a director can be, or anybody who we're doing it within the section that we're all singing exactly the same at the same time, so that's not so much an issue. But if you've got two parts that you're directing and one part is the different time, the challenge is to understand and remember that what the other part is doing, and to show them what they need to have, what indication, what cue they need to have to keep them doing whatever they're doing as well. So when you've got four parts together, that's the same sort of thing. So if the basses are holding something, you've got somebody holding something and the rest are doing something else, and you have to develop some sort of strategy that allows that understanding that this is what this sign means, whilst I'm telling you to hold this, or you remember you hold this, I don't need to stay with you anymore, I'll just go and do something else with another part. But those are some of the challenges that, you know, the more you're directing, the more things face you that you have to cope with. The other thing of, pardon?
There's an added complexity too, in that during rhythm songs or fast rhythm songs, it's very difficult to be giving cues and words.
Absolutely. It's very, very difficult. That's where, you know, what we're essentially all hoping for is for our singers to become more independent.
Yes.
And less dependent on us.
Yeah.
So that we can actually show the shape of the music. And that's where moving away from patterns is really important. You know, when we start off basic chorus directing, we know what we need to learn to be able to do the patterns. But then we need to know when we don't need to do the patterns anymore. We just give them the bits that they need, which is invariably the strong beat of the bar, or we pick them up at the end of a phrase and move them on to the first beat of the bar. So, you know, you've got the prep and you've got the onset of sound. Now, the other one I've not talked about is the release. And can you just show me how you think you would release the sound of a group of singers in front of you? So just put your hand here, and this is the end of the note, and then you just finish it for me.
What are they singing? Something loud,
Your
something
choice.
quiet?
Your choice. Okay, right. That's very good. We've got a range of different things there, okay? Certain things. If you lean forward, you're going to get your singers to lean forward, and that's not what you want, because invariably at the end of the song, you want them to do this. Number one. The second thing is, if you close your fingers, it closes the sound. So you don't actually touch, you just finish, but keep your hands open. But if you want to start, so it's just finish and then still. So it's like an E. That's what Joe Lyles, good old Joe Lyles, do you know? He's died this week, which is such a shame.
Another big loss.
No, we've had 3 this last week. So there's this and that way. So it's like an E. Go ahead.
My choir leader at school used to kind of do a twizzle with
exactly
their finger in the air.
So where do you know to finish? If he's twizzling, which part of the twizzle do you finish on?
When it kind of...
That's all it needs, and finish and still. So when you finish, it needs to finish. This is unnecessary. It can be very balletic and very but actually you don't need to do that. This, and then you release the sound, is much more effective. Okay, so it's... And if you do this, be careful you're not chopping off the sound. If you look at brass players, brass band conductors, they will do that. Right. Okay, and that's because they want the sound to stop immediately. Okay, mm-hmm. But for singers, we want it to stop, but the sound is still in the air. And so we're using that as part of our sound release as well. Yes, Tanya?
So does that differ depending what you're singing? So if you've got a ballad, for example, that you're wanting to bring the volume right back and then all finish together, how would that differ?
Well, you mean how would the release differ? I would just do that, and then literally, the smaller the gesture, the closer they have to watch.
Okay.
And a lot of that is rote learning. They have to practice watching and doing it, but also getting them to do that gesture with their hand helps them understand what the gestures are as well. That's an important thing to get them to do. But if it's a big, and you're going, yay, and then finish, I can't not do that. It's so ingrained in me. I can't not do that. Da chung. I still, I feel as if I'm chopping it off. Well, we do. Yes, it's finished, but I can't go.
It's harder too. If
it's really hard. Yeah.
There's a big crescendo at the end.
Yeah.
You can't just stop that there like that.
No, it's just, I just have to go, and I just carry on. My energy is
Yeah.
still in the song,
Yeah.
because you got to get rid of your own physical energy as well when you're doing all of that. So the release is really important. So you've got your prep, which we've done, the onset, which is the ictus, making sure that it's exactly where you want it to be, and the release. And there are different kinds of releases: ballad, up tempo, whatever. Oh, you can just poof. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, finish, throw it away. A lot of it comes with playing with the music, and you decide what actually works for you and your group. That's absolutely fine. You know, the other thing is, and this is, let's just try and do this. Just do a four pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Keep it quite small. 3, 4. Okay. Now your left hand, or your less dominant hand. So for Nicola and Tanya, it would be your other hand. I want you to practice this. I want you to practice bringing the volume up with your other hand, and then down. So this is the interpreter. Your other hand is the interpreter of the music. This shows the beat when it's necessary, but the other hand is the flowing one, so it's par. It doesn't come up very often, but it never goes down by its side. It's never disengaged in the music. It's always part of everything that's going on. Bless you, Nicola. Okay, so that's really important, that you don't mirror the gestures with your hands. This doesn't do anything. If you want to do this, this is, it has to, this has got to come up. This is a crescendo. This is a diminuendo. This is getting it all louder and down again, or louder and down again. Always being aware of your back position, the chest position, everything as much as this as you possibly can. So we've kind of had a very quick whiz through. Are there any questions or any observations about anything?
I think it's pretty cool. Oh, sorry, Karen.
Karen?
The question, if I may.
Yes.
I'm coming from a barbershop angle because that's the singing that I do. And sometimes at the end of these big choruses, the director turns their back to the chorus.
Yeah.
But the chorus is still singing. So and they're kind of doing this to, are they doing this to the audience, or are they doing this for the singers? Is it an indication of something? Why turn your back when the chorus needs to see all of this as well as this?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I think it's part of developing the visual and the vocal performance together, so that to get that crescendo, it's it's different things that you can do it in different stages. But you turn around and this is where we are. Okay, so if I'm doing this, this is going to be even more, and this is going to be even more again. You can see the different ranges of dynamics, and then you finish off like that. But then you are seen as being part of the group, which is really good, but you're not being the conductor and them, you're part of the performance, because it is a two, it's visual and vocal combined. It's not one or the other, and that's where the emphasis is. It is very, it's strange. It's becoming more and more obvious that people do this, but in order for that to be successful, when the director turns around, they have to feel very comfortable in doing it. Some of us die when we look at an audience. Okay? Me. I cannot read an audience. I've got so used to my back being to the audience that people will say afterwards, well, that was good. I have no idea. Because I just, all I'm focusing on is the singer. So it's what has to work with you. But I think increasingly in barbershop, you're definitely going to get a director who is part of the performance, and it's a visual vocal match. It's got to, that's what we're judging all of the time, really. And it doesn't matter whether it's Sweet Ads or Labs or Babs, BHS. That's exactly what we're all going for all the time. So, yes, Julia.
how do you make sure that everybody that you're conducting is actually watching you? Because if you're doing these little gestures, I mean, I've noticed in various musical groups that not everybody's watching, because especially if people are not particularly confident and they've got scores and things in front of them, it's, you know, I was always told with singing or playing musical instruments that you should have your, if you're using a score or a piece of music, you should have it so that you can look just above it at where the director is. But if you've got somebody who's looking down, or they're so paranoid about forgetting something, they're looking down at their music, is there anything you can do to get people to make sure their eyes are on you?
Well, I have to be honest and say I very rarely these days have choirs or singers that don't know their stuff away from the music. If they are using the music, I insist that they have the music here, so that they can look at the music and look at me, look at the music and look at me. So, you know, I will start off and I'll say, right, this is it. Now bring your music up, bring your music, mirror me, mirror me, mirror me. That's where you hold your music. If you need to look at your music, look down and then straight back up at me. And I do really want them to look at me as a director. Because if they don't, I get very nervous, and I actually, if they don't, I will sort of talk about it in rehearsal as a process. I have been in the unfortunate position of suddenly people sort of singing over my left or my right shoulder to people that they know in the audience. I find that really disconcerting. So I sort of go into the line of vision. I glare at them and then walk back to where I was before, you know. Tanya.
That's with children, I'm sure, Gail, you'll get me with this one. It's almost impossible. You've got the young ones who are singing to their mums or to whoever they can see that they know and waving, yeah, absolutely. Hi, I'm here, hi. And the older ones, the sort of younger teens, don't like to hold eye contact. So I'm getting them now to kind of look here on me, so that they're not looking at my eyes, just so that they're engaging. But it's a nightmare. I spend a lot of time going up to the little ones doing this.
Yes, yes.
Parents and people need a talking to as well, because they're awful. They'll walk in and start waving to their kid. The kid's being brilliant. Grandparents are sort of going, "Cooey." The kid is doing miracles, not to say anything.
I don't know. I can remember so many performances with my kids' choir, you know, and I can remember one of them once. I've obviously not forgotten this. And we were really tired. We were all very tired. We've been doing a lot of singing in different places. And we were standing together. It was a group of about 50 of them. And I suddenly saw one of the girls going, she fainted. She literally just slid down like that. And the others sort of went, and I just went forward and got hold of her, lifted her out and gave her to somebody. And so we carried on. But they just got used to this. Yes, concentrate on me. Don't wave at anybody. That's not what we do. Do sort of, you can just keep your eye on me. You know, it's really hard, but it is. If an adult did that in a performance, I would feel I would find some way of attracting their attention and saying, "Oh, I have been known to do that."
God.
And when they see that, they think, "Oh, she really means it." Karen.
I can't remember if you've covered this, but why is it so important that the singers keep their eyes on the director? Why can't they, if they're confident in their singing and performing, why can't they just perform it to just...
I think it's becoming less, I was going to say it's not less important. It's to do with the confidence of the singer and the repeatability of the music now.
Yes.
Being a musician, with all the will in the world, I never do it the same twice. And they daren't take their eyes off me in case I change it drastically. I try not to do that, but there are times when they are doing so well that I think, oh, I can just do this here, you know, and they know it's good, so they can do that. But if they're not watching me, then they don't want to be the one that doesn't get it right, or their voices stick out. So that, you know, I don't know if that answers your question, but
I think
Mike, yeah.
I think to answer Karen's question, some directors, I sang for a director who didn't stand in front of us. After we learnt the music, he retreated into the chorus and we performed with no director. Now, the reason you don't do it is the small sync problems are a nightmare in a chorus.
I've got to agree. I've got to agree with that, Mike. I mean, the number of times I've written down where we've got issues and I've been judging, and you think, oh, this is a good sound, it's really good, but there are, and when the director goes into the chorus, there are minor sync errors, and also the director's voice can be heard. It doesn't always match with the others as well. So you just, you know, each to his own, I think.
And it's also very impressive for showboating. You know, the real reason the directors turn around and do that thing where they're just got the sounds growing and their arms are growing and they turn around to the chorus, to the audience, is as if to say, you see, I'm the director of this awesome group, okay? And we're finishing this now. And there's this big finish and I did it. So that is a big thing for
well, that might be for
directors.
some people, not for me. If I turn around, I'm thinking, oh, I hate this bit. This is the bit I hate. And I'm only doing it because someone's told me I've got to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel natural to me to do it at all. I think, you know, each to his own. Each to his own, yeah. Any other observations or questions, or has that been of any interest or
Absolutely.
help?
It's really interesting, because I mean, I'm directing children, but I don't direct, I've just realised, from a musical perspective at all. So for me, that's, really interesting. And I need to look more at the music.
Good.
Than the
Excellent. Excellent. Susan, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I just from this brief seminar with you, I have great respect now for directors in a way that I'm not sure I had before. So, yeah.
Well, onwards and upwards, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for this session. I'm going
Thanks,
to
Rhiannon.
sit down. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There we go. Right, okay. And this is just to be put on at the end because I forgot to say it earlier on. But when you're doing this bit here with your hand, can you all just put your hand up there? And then put this on here, put the coin on the back of your hand, and then do those gestures. You'll see the idea is to keep it still on your hand. So having it there and the child's head here as well. There you go. You see, it'll show you how smooth you are. It's good fun. It's really good fun. I've got 2 coins. I'm going to put one on the other hand as well. Oh, I don't know if I can do that. Yes, I can. Right. And the other thing, I mean, if you're finding it difficult to curve your hands, get hold of a tennis ball and don't squeeze it, but just hold it in the palm of the hands like that. Look like no. It's just you see, it does help. It gets the right shape on your hand.
Or an actual baby.
Or an actual baby. There you go. So
my piano teacher used to tell me I had to imagine I had a tennis ball under my fingers when I was
there
playing.
You go. There
so
you
that
go.
Don't play with flat hands. It's the same
That's right.
principle, isn't it?
Yeah. And this is to do with the sound, you know, the sound that you produce, and then doing that with your fingers closed as well. So the coins are really good. Oh, you've still got them there where they are? Yeah, I've remembered that. Okay, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.